Hi everyone. I hope the chat is synced up. It should be. I think it is. It just says chat is ready to display messages. I don't think the chat is working on my computer. I can see chat happening on YouTube, but I can't see it on my streaming thing. Oh dear. But hello everyone. Give me 1 second. I want to make sure I can get this synced up before we start popping off. Let me see. How can I check this? I hope everyone is doing well. Happy Friday. We are getting so close to Halloween. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Okay. That is definitely not going to the correct place. Can you feel no, that's me. Let's see. I don't want to just like have it off for like the whole deal. Let's see. Open in browser. They've updated something, I think. Alright, I'm gonna change this and see if this does anything. Okay, I don't know why it's not synced anymore. That is so strange. So strange. Yeah, everything else looks correct. I will be really sad if that is not working anymore. Because that's like the one thing I can't test like before I start streaming is like, oh, is my chat working? Okay. Well, I'll have to figure that out later, I guess. I'll just turn it off. And then that side of the screen will be oddly blank. Maybe I'll, okay. I don't want to like move stuff around too much because it'll be hard to like move stuff back, but I will like move my face to make up for it. I don't even know if that's centered because I don't have like a guidepost for where like 50% is, but I guess we'll just do this. And then we'll figure out the chat thing at a different time. No, I can see you guys. So what's happening is normally on this side of the screen right here, there's like a purple chat box that pops up that shows the chat on screen as people are watching. And there's a YouTube chat also, and it's supposed to, my streaming software I use is supposed to sync with the YouTube chat and show that like on the side of the screen, and it's not doing that for some reason. And like the URL and everything just like isn't working, and I can't tell if it's YouTube or if it's the software or like what's going on with that. It's a whole deal. I don't know. Everything is like, I have so much stuff that needs to get done. And it's just like, oh great. One more thing I now have to update somehow. Perfect. We love it. We love having to update things. Okay. I apologize for the boringness of the first couple of minutes of me rambling about things. Did you ever try ice therapy in a scene? I've had someone ask me about ice therapy before, and no one has explained to me what ice therapy is. Like, did you ask me about ice therapy earlier? Like, I'm confused. What is ice therapy? What is ice therapy indeed? All right, let me scroll back up here. So, quick things before we get into it. Of course, this is an 18 plus only live stream. So if you're not at least 18, please do not be here because this is for adults to talk to other adults. And if you are a minor, not safe for you, not safe for us. Don't do it, please. Just wait. I promise it will be worth it to wait and not, mix around and potentially get people in trouble. Also, I do have a FAQ and rules down below, so please read that. And we've been doing these for a couple of years now, and it's just easier if you read the rules in the FAQ. I try to keep things as open as possible. Yes, I do have a title to the live stream that sort of indicates what the general topic or theme is, but it's a very loose topic. We can talk about that. We can talk about kind of whatever you guys want. It's just about kind of giving us something to maybe start thinking about. But it is a general FAQ. Otherwise, some things I don't talk about. I don't give advice on anything medical related, anything related to like therapy or mental health. I don't give advice on like how to do edge play things. So if you want to know about like choking, blood play, anything like that, not my thing. Not going to talk about it on a live stream because I really feel like if you are going to learn how to do that, it's best to do it in an in-person setting where you can get direct feedback and have like a whole 2 hours dedicated to learning that subject as opposed to like a 10-minute answer, maybe at most, from me on a live stream, just to, make sure we're all learning stuff in the safest way possible. Also, we do have our super chat, so that gives me a great opportunity to mention this. I do answer questions in the order that they are received in the live stream. I try to get to everything. Oh, I guess my like notifications like for something must be happening with oh, maybe it's because of where I have my face cam. Oh, there we go. I should move that too. Oh, okay. I will answer this one in a second, David. Let me finish this spiel, but I'll move that here for now. Perfect. Okay, so if you want to make sure I answer your question, the best way to do that is with a super chat. Otherwise, I kind of go through an order and I try to get to everything as long as it's within the rules, but obviously I do run out of time and cannot always get to everything. So if you want to make sure your question gets answered, you can use either a super chat through YouTube or you can go through Streamlabs, which is linked below as well. That is what contributes to this goal up here. And that is a good way to basically save money because if you go through YouTube does take 30% of the revenue that gets donated. So if you donate $20, YouTube takes 30% of that, and just for being a platform, I guess. I don't know. And Streamlabs does not do that. They don't actually take any money that I'm aware of. So yeah, just a lot of people don't know that. So you can use either or. Doesn't matter. As long as it gets through, we will talk about it. So the question I got that was a super chat was, I believe it was about spankings. Yes. What is your opinion on childhood spankings and relationship to adult spankings? There's like a couple ways I could interpret that question. So I am not for corporal punishment of children at all. I am not for spanking or causing physical harm to anyone that doesn't consent to it, and especially children. I think there are some people that get spanked that then fetishize that experience and are really into it as adults. I wouldn't say that's the main cause for why people are into spanking as adults, in the same way that, for example, in the UK, femdom is a lot more popular there than it is here in the US. because there is sort of this idea of like the strict like governess or the strict nanny, for example, but most people don't have like wet nurses and governesses and nannies, like unless they're in very upper class homes. But there is this like cultural idea of that kind of adult figure, and that is what people glom onto, and they see in media, and they see in books and movies and all of that, that they sort of get attached to, maybe, is one way of thinking about it. And I would also say that for America, there is like a lot of spanking that happens in media, like either between adults, and I have a video coming out soon that's about 1950s households, and I talk a little bit about spanking in there because there is an overlap between the two. And for example, the movie McClintock, which is a like really famous, what's that actually? It's got John Wayne in it, but it's not like a proper Western. Anyways, it has John Wayne in it. It's like a very famous movie. And there's a particularly very famous spanking scene in there that I think is like responsible for a lot of people of that generation's like spanking fetishes. And even onward from there as well. There's a lot of people that saw the movie later and it kind of like awoke in some, what's the phrase? It just awoke. It awoke something in them. So yeah, there's that as well. And I do see your super chat as well, George. Thank you so much. Which is, what attracts you to the goth motif? I'll be happy to answer that once I finish ranting about spanking. So spanking. Back to spanking. Yeah, I don't think that spanking in childhood causes necessarily like a strict correlation to wanting it to be in adulthood. In fact, actually, the people I know that were severely spanked as children, like the people that like, it wasn't just like, oh, like once a year maybe it happened if I did something really bad and my parents hated doing it and I hated it, but it lasted like 5 minutes and it was over. Like people that were repeatedly spanked severely for almost nothing, typically in religious households as part of like basically spiritual abuse, because there's a lot of very conservative Christian homes that have this idea of like spare the rod, spoil the child, which is a misinterpretation of that line of scripture, and not understanding what a rod is and why a shepherd uses it. But I can explain that if people are confused by it. But they misinterpret that, and they think that like all children, in order to be raised healthily and to respect authority, need to be beaten. And they were severely spanked as children, and they cannot even handle being around the sound of spanking, like even in another room. It's a really intense negative experience for them, and that's totally valid. And I would never want to like lump in that experience and say, well, that must mean you like secretly are into spanking because you were spanked as a child. It can really go either way, and I think it also has to do with maybe the severity of what happened as well, or how ongoing it was and things like that. But I think also physically doing the things are very different. Like obviously if you're a child and you're powerless and you can't really tell your parents to stop a spanking. Like they're just gonna do it because they're the adults and they're in control, and you don't have a way like physically prevent them from doing it. And that can be very, very negative to experience. Whereas when you're an adult, it's consensual and you have safe words and you negotiate ahead of time, you know it's going to happen, you know what's going to cause it to happen, even if it's in a DS relationship within a punishment framework. All of that is very clear and understood, and you have the ability and control to be able to stop it from happening or call for help. And it's also like more socially acceptable, or at least it used to be more socially acceptable for people to hit their children as like discipline to keep them in line, and like neighbors or other people wouldn't necessarily interfere with that. Whereas like if people think it's like a domestic violence scenario where like a spouse is beating their spouse, then they are more likely to interfere with that. Not that people necessarily would, but I think there's a higher likelihood of that because people sort of understand like parental discipline as being a different thing and more justified from like a partner hitting a partner, even as adults. So I don't know if any of that really answered your questions about spanking, if I kind of understood what you were trying to ask correctly. There's a bunch of different directions for that particular question, but let me know. I love to know what you guys think about spanking, because it is, there's a whole other like world of like there's spanking that exists within BDSM as a community. There's a whole sort of separate, I guess it would depend on who you ask. Some people see it as separate from BDSM. For some people, it's like kind of a subsection of BDSM in the way that like shibari is. There's a whole separate community that's called spankos, and like they just do spanking. Like that's all they do is spanking. They use also sometimes things like rulers or hairbrushes, but the primary thing is like bare bottom, over the knee, like bare hand spanking. And that's what people are really into. They don't do it to get bruises necessarily. They usually do it to basically make like the bottom red, essentially, is kind of the goal. And all they do, they just love spanking, and that's like the thing. There is an older Off the Cuffs, which is a podcast. They have an older episode talking to a spanko on there, and so if that's like something you are interested in or curious about, I would watch that episode, because as far as I can tell where I live, there's not a spanko community, and I could be looking in the wrong places. Maybe they only organize on Facebook, I don't know, but it has been something that I found to be very interesting, in that it is kind of like sort of separate, but still overlaps a lot with more mainstream BDSM. But I think there are some people that are exclusive to that and only are into that and only want that. Or maybe it's more like latex as well, because there are definitely latex fetishists that only exist within like rubber circles and only like hang out and go to rubber parties and rubber balls and all of that. And some of them also enjoy BDSM and also do that, and sometimes it's just about like wearing the latex, and they don't really care about the whips and chains and the spankings and so on, you know. And they're just there for the texture and the rubber, you know. All right, let's see. Oh yes, the goth question. Let me what attracted me to the goth motif? You know, I'm not really sure what it was in particular that drew me to the goth aesthetic first. I think I've always sort of been more inclined in that direction. I mean, you know, when I was a kid and I was really young, I didn't have any control over like what I wore or what colors or things like that. And I was not like opposed to like wearing colors. Like I've mentioned before, like I was a horse girl. Like I was like I really liked horses. I loved being outside. I listened to country music. I like did all that stuff growing up, and that was like, it wasn't like I was like a little like 7-year-old Wednesday Addams or something. But I grew into it at some point, and I think I've kind of always liked more like the rocker aesthetic, sort of that vibe, and that sort of started me in that direction. And for whatever reason, I've just found myself like more naturally drawn to that. I think part of it is also I've always been like, even if when I was like kind of more normal, like I was always a weird kid. Like I was very bookish. I won an award at school one time. This is like the peak of my elementary school experience. It was actually mortifyingly embarrassing to get this award. I'm like, I don't know if you guys should give awards for this. But one of the elementary schools I went to, they had awards for like different things. Just, I don't know, to make kids feel good about themselves or something. They had awards for like you know, like the presidential like fitness tests and things like that. And they also had ones for reading, and it was like me and one other kid like had the record at the school for the most numbers of hours read, because like every week like, you were supposed to read at home for a certain number of hours, and your parents would sign off on it. And I remember they like had to call my parents, and like the teachers would ask like, did she really like read that much? Like, and she's like, yeah, totally. She just like comes home and like reads books, and like that's what she does. And I was like always in the library at lunch. I always, you know, loved being in the library, loved reading books, all of that. And so I won an award for reading a lot of books, and I don't think that made me particularly popular. I was also very quiet as well, and so I think sort of naturally that sort of like nerdier, shyer, and also kind of like weirder side. Like I liked bugs a lot when I was a kid. Like I love like geckos and things as well, like little creepies and crawlies and things like that. I really enjoyed, and like kind of just being like a nerdy but also sort of tomboy at the same time. I don't know. But that was when I was younger. But then as I got older, like when I got into like middle school and high school, and I had like more of an authority over my life and like what I could dress and what colors I owned and more and things like that, I sort of just naturally gravitated towards that, I guess. I don't know. It just like felt right. I have a very distinct memory of when I was, I think, in 9th grade. I was at a... Why did the word for this just totally leave my brain? Amusement park. Isn't that a weird like phrase? Amusement park. Yes, it's a park and it's for amusement. Like, it just sounds so antiquated when you say it. I was at an amusement park with a friend, and she had brown pencil eyeliner, and I had only ever worn makeup for stage stuff, for like doing drama stuff. I had never worn it for like just on my own for myself, and so she let me borrow her brown eyeliner pencil when we were at the amusement park together, and that changed my life. Like, wearing that eyeliner, I felt so cool, I felt so confident, and really it was about just like finding what I felt confident in, because I was not a confident child at all. I mean, I'm not really that confident of a person now, but when I was younger it was a lot worse. So after that, it didn't actually start wearing liquid eyeliner until I got into college, but I did start wearing like pencil eyeliner and stuff like that, like pretty regularly. Like, I would feel kind of naked without it, and yeah, I just sort of gradually started to do all of the wearing of the black and the eyeliner and the dyeing my hair black. That was like one of the first things I did when I started to live on my own, was like dye my hair black. That was like, I remember what my hair color, and you guys can kind of, my hair's a little bit grown out, so you can see it like right there. I have dark brown hair naturally, but I've been dyeing it black for probably 8 or 9 years at this point, I think, maybe a little bit longer, and I really can't imagine dyeing it another color. I thought about dyeing it purple. Like, I thought about dyeing it with like the tips being purple or something, or maybe purple in my bangs, like getting like straight across bangs again, which I very badly need to go get my bangs trimmed actually. But I thought about that, but like, I don't ever think I want to do something other than like pure black, much to the chagrin of several of the boyfriends I've had over the years that are like, you would look really hot as a redhead, you would look really hot if you were blonde, you would look really hot with your natural hair color. I'm like, listen, you're gonna take me wearing all black, or you're gonna have to leave it, okay? That's like, if you want to fetishize like blondes or redheads or whatever, you are barking up the wrong tree, my dude. These eyebrows do not match that tone of hair color whatsoever. It's like, can you just imagine if I was blonde? Like, what would that even look like? Like, first of all, I wouldn't be able to do it because it would take so much bleach to lift this black out of my hair. Like, I would have, like, ear-length hair at that point, even if I got to bleach it fully all the way. And then I'd have to, like, bleach my eyebrows. Like, I don't think so. I like the way that I am. And I'm happy with the black hair and my very chipped black nail polish, which is, I do like having painted nails. I do like doing that. I hate the fact that it takes about 2 days before they start to chip terribly. Then I'm like, do I just remove everything and start over? Do I paint around it? Like, what do I do? Because I hate just having to sit there and wait for my nails to dry. It's the worst. And I swear, I always end up smudging at least one of my fingers and having to redo that entire finger, and sometimes multiple fingers, because then I get like the cotton bud stuck to a different finger that's still drying, and like, it's like such a pain in the butt. I just need somebody to come paint my nails for me, to be honest. That's really what I need. Anyways, moving on to next question. Hello from France. It is 3 a.m. over here. Well, thank you for joining us, Cosmos. I hope you enjoy being here on your little 3 a.m. adventure. Hi Evie, so excited to see you live stream instead of catching the replay. Yeah, glad you could make it. Thanks for being here. Greetings from Alberta, Canada. What is up? What goes on in Alberta? What happens over there? From my understanding, not a whole lot. And I hope that is not an insult. I just think of Alberta, and I think there's a really big highway that goes through there. That's my knowledge of Alberta. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. I forgot it was Friday. LOL, that is until this notification popped up. Well, happy Friday. Now you know. I had one day this week where I thought it was Saturday the entire day. It was like, I think it was no, it was on Sunday. I was convinced it was Monday the whole day. Like, I kept thinking, like, oh, I'm gonna have to stream later. And then, like, I was like, no, it's Sunday, you dummy. You don't have to stream. What are you doing? I think it's because I filmed 2 days last week because I'm trying to catch up with all my Halloween content, because the way that I schedule my life is probably could be more efficient. And so I have like several weeks of videos that are gonna come out now after Halloween, but I had to start filming all of my Halloween videos like now in October, because obviously got to get Halloween decor. So I'm like, have those old videos that I already have filmed, but now I have to film all my videos like for Halloween and have time to edit them and have time to make thumbnails and get them copyright checked and all that stuff, and hopefully not run out of time so videos don't come out like 5 days apart. I try to do like every 3 days, every 4 days is usually what I try to do for posts. Like enough to where you miss me on the timeline a little bit. You're like, ooh, I wonder what Evie's doing, but not like you don't see me for 2 weeks, you know? I was going to go as Vincent Valentine and give trick-or-treaters candy from a cardboard coffin. Oh, that sounds so cute! On a piece of plywood painted at the floor in the room in Shinra Manor. But no, Jason Bourne, BS IRL. I mean, that sounds very dramatic. And if it does involve anything related to Jason Bourne, I hope you're safe. But I love Vincent Valentine. Actually, you know what? I do have a very distinct memory of watching the Advent Children movie that Vincent Valentine is in when I was a kid at a friend's house, and I don't think I could decide if I had a crush on Vincent or if I wanted to be him, and I think that maybe was part of the start of the aesthetic was of Vincent Valentine. Very, very good. I never watched growing up. I never watched like the old Addams Family TV show. I hadn't actually ever watched the Addams Family. Why do I keep saying that? Addams Family movies. I didn't watch until like a couple of years ago. I don't know why. They must have never been on the TV, like on the Disney Channel or something. Whatever Halloween movies were on, just was never something I really watched. I mean, obviously I knew about the Addams Family, but I hadn't actually watched anything that they were a part of. Don't know how I managed that for so long, to be honest. Ah, okay. I have a weird question. I think that's fair. I was going to say there's no such thing as a bad question. And there is no such thing as a bad question. But questions are allowed to be weird because BDSM is kind of weird, so that's fine. To make a long story short, I have heard that Tantra can be applied to BDSM. Have you heard of this? Oh, my dear Kay Bennett. What a can of worms that topic is. So, there is actually a YouTube channel that I quite like, and their name is Bondage Tuition. If you like shibari and rope stuff, I'd recommend them. They have a video they did recently that's about, like, kinky yoga. And I'm going to be real. I have, like, a moderately negative opinion of most organized yoga and tantric practices that are like some random white guy is like, I am a tantric expert and pay for my $400 workshop so I can tell you about the secrets of tantra and improve your sex life. Like, I am very suspicious of that. So when it comes to organized things like that, I'm generally not pro them, but I know that they're out there and they exist. Long answer short to your already shortened question is yes, Tantra can be applied to BDSM. If you want to do that, be like exceedingly careful with who you learn it from and how much you pay for it, because there are a lot of scammers, especially in like the sexual like health and wellness industry, that kind of sell like tantric stuff and yoga and meditation and packages and things related to that as like basically a cash grab to wellness minded people that are like concerned about their sexual performance is sort of the thing that I get a vibe from is like, oh, this is definitely going. It's like you get Instagram advertisements for it, and it's like how to like solve your sex problems. Like I get advertisements like that actually for medication and like research stuff fairly often because I'm asexual. And I guess the algorithm interprets that as meaning that I'm sexually dissatisfied in some way. I don't know how that happened, but I've gotten a lot of advertisements for like pilot studies for basically hyposexuality in women, like trial treatments for hyposexuality in women, which is actually like a diagnosable condition in the DSM, like hyposexuality or something like that is in one of the disorder categories. I'm not that, but Instagram sure gets confused about it, and I find that very interesting. And if it helps people, I'm happy for them. I'm not like anti having that kind of solution or medication for that. I just am like, I don't think I'm actually the target demographic that you think I might be. I'm not actually sure. I am somewhat familiar with yoga. I kind of vaguely know about Tantra, and I've seen books about it in various sex shops and things over the years. I don't really know anything about it as like a practice. I mean, my understanding is a lot of it is like about intercourse, and so that's not really my thing, and the intercourse part of doing BDSM is not very important to me, and so I don't tend to look up information related to that in terms of like how to improve the sex part of my BDSM. It's like not really high in the research list for me, so I'm not actually sure like a practical way like how it would be applied. But I think if it has that sense of like power exchange, or that like deep bonding and trusting your partner, and that's sort of the thing you get out of it, then yeah, I think you can definitely apply that with your BDSM. The thing that bothers me that I see a lot is not, and maybe this is my bias because I'm coming from the BDSM community, but the thing that I see a lot that I dislike is I see people that are like tantric gurus or yogis or something, and they use especially rope bondage as like a self-care and meditation tool for like random people. And I'm like, okay, so you get this. Okay, every dog in the neighborhood is currently barking. Can I have a report, please? Miss Bandit, what's going on? What are the dogs barking at? What are the neighbors barking at? Sorry, I want to make sure your dog's not being physically abused outside. Oh, okay. No. The barking sounded very desperate. Like it sounded very like I'm being choked to death, and it's just a dog that is like a half a block away from another dog that is like they're very excited to see each other, I guess. So, we're good. We're good on that front at least. But yes, there are a lot of like tantric sex and like yogi people that go to basically like a weekend rope intensive or go to a rope convention or a kink convention. They learned rope for like 4 hours, and then they go and sell it as part of their like yoga practice, and are like have a private connective rope experience to get back into alignment with your body and spirit. And I'm like, I'm sorry, you learned how to do rope once for 4 hours, and now you're tying people up. And you see their like photos on Instagram, and it's like they're tying so far outside their skill set, and they're charging so much money for it. And it's like, you know, there are pro doms you could go to for the same experience. I know that sex work is like scary and people think it's bad, and that like dominatrixes are bad, scary people. But would you rather go to somebody that doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about and is selling something as a health product, or somebody that actually knows what they're doing and has real experience and will actually like negotiate with you and knows what to do if something goes wrong? I know which one I would pick. That's what bothers me, is like when you see people that are in those spaces like using stuff as like something extra to sell as like part of their services when they don't even really know what it is, and just like completely removing all of the BDSM from it. Like it's just like yoga, like flying yoga with rope, and it's like because then they miss out on like the things that make BDSM safe. Like they miss out on the safe word part, they miss out on the negotiation part, they miss out on the like checking in, they don't tell people about nerve damage, they don't tell people about subspace, they don't tell people about any of that. They just like, oh yeah, you're having a very deep mental experience right now. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe this is a thing. And I understand probably in the opposite direction, it must be very annoying for some people that are into yoga and like Tantra stuff in a serious way to see it be used as BDSM, because then it's like, oh, you're just using this really like serious meditative practice for like playing around and for sex games. And they must get frustrated by that as well. But I feel like from a safety perspective, doing yoga or tantric stuff as part of BDSM is like definitely less dangerous than tying somebody up and suspending them in the air when you've barely been in a rope yourself and have like practiced and learned from like one person once for like 4 hours on a weekend, you know, crazy stuff. And then they say like, oh, well, I've been trained. I did classes at blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, yeah, that was like one weekend event you did 2 years ago. Sure. That qualifies, I guess. Anyways, oh, one of the things I miss, maybe I should have 2 chat boxes going. Is that a thing I can do? I think I'm going to try and do that, because when I don't have the chat on my studio screen, that is normally what I use to keep track of like the newest comments, and now I don't have that, and it makes me sad because then I miss the spam comments. So I'm going to try to delete this stuff. Okay, there we go. Oh my god, they're still here. No, yeah, I get spam on my, like, I swear, like, at least a solid 15% of my job is, like, flagging spam on my channel. Like, it's a non-zero amount. It's a non-zero amount. Okay. All right, I think I'm going to have 2 chat windows open. I'm going to try and, like, okay, so YouTube cannot automatically detect when somebody is spamming webcam HD XYZ girls hair streamer recommendations and then like a spam link to a porn website, but then somebody says I enjoy flying goats, goat emoji yoga, and that gets flagged as spam. How does that make sense, YouTube? Oh my god. Yeah, it's just so funny. It's like, YouTube, what was wrong with that? Was it the goat emoji? Is that sexual? I think YouTube does that now. I know Facebook does, right? Like Facebook chat or whatever, they banned the like peach emoji and the eggplant emoji and stuff. Is the goat included in that? Because it's like a horny goat. Is Satanism? I don't know. What could be wrong with that? I have no idea. Wait. And then somebody just put in a crying smiley face emoji, and then that got flagged. Okay, what the heck is going on? Oh my god. Okay. I have no idea. I'm not gonna worry about that too much. I'm gonna just try and enjoy all y'all's company. How about that? Let's do that. That sounds like a good time, right? All right. Yeah, I think that is all for the super chats for now. So let's move on to the next question. I fucking hope YouTube's not having a stroke. That usually doesn't bear well for me if their system is on the fritz. Actually, so this is an aside, but I think this is important to bring up because otherwise I don't know when else I'm going to say it. So I don't know if any of you, I think this is sort of actually related to the yoga stuff. So there's a YouTuber named Nikocado Avocado. It's a mouthful of a name. And there is a smaller like makeup focused channel, and their name is Reifenstein. Very entertaining stuff. One time they did a full face of like glue on rhinestones, and I was like, I would have never thought to do that. Very interesting. But they had a video recently where they were talking about Nikocado Avocado, and I don't want to go into details about like his content and stuff, but suffice to say, he has content that is concerning from the perspective of potentially encouraging disordered eating behaviors, let's say. And apparently also, I didn't know this, apparently also he does a lot of like fetishy content because he does like mukbangs and stuff. So he eats like very large volumes of food in one sitting. And apparently he does a lot of like fetishy stuff related to that. Like either he kind of subtly does it on streams, but especially on like OnlyFans and things like that, he has a lot of very sexual content, which just like, I'm amazed. I'm amazed at like what is out there I had no idea about. And the person who made that video, they sort of were suggesting, well, like the only way to kind of protect people is to really enforce YouTube's policy guidelines around sexuality and like nudity and pornography. And I was like, that sounds great, because I see a lot of spam fetish content on YouTube. Like I look for new videos related to BDSM like fairly often, and a lot of it that's under like, if you search in the keyword BDSM on YouTube and you sort by the newest ones, a solid 70+% of it will just be re-uploaded porn or very softcore, kind of weird, trying to skirt the line, like fetish content that's not really porn because there's no genitals, but it's obviously a fetish thing. And apparently some of Nick's content kind of falls in that gray area of like, if you know, you know, but if you don't, you might be like, oh, that's kind of weird. I don't really get it. And so they were suggesting that should be more policy enforcement around like sexuality and nudity. And I'm like, there is no way that YouTube as a platform can possibly like subtly understand the difference between like, to be able to recognize when someone is like quietly implying like a fetishistic enjoyment of their content versus like me talking to a camera about like why people like role playing as vampires. Like there's no way that YouTube can build a system where they're going to be like, that's fetish and that's not, because they can't even like figure out if certain links are okay or not. Like it's amazing what weird things I've gotten in trouble for YouTube. And I'm like, wait, well, look at this person over here. Oh my God. I saw this whole, has anyone else seen this? This is crazy. So I was looking up Animal Crossing stuff, and I legitimately saw a video that had 1.3 million views. That was, it was a meme video. That was of one of the characters in Animal Crossing that's like an Egyptian cat girl having sex with one of the other characters, where you can literally see penetration happen, and it had been up for a month. It had 1.3 million views and was not age restricted. The video I did on costumes earlier today was automatically age restricted because of the like gimp suit costume with like the nipple clamps that weren't even attached to nipples. Like that one got automatically age restricted, but the cartoon penetration involving a cat did not. Let me just explain that one to me, YouTube. How did that happen? What's going on there? Oh, yeah. Goodness gracious. Okay. Well, rant about YouTube policies being strange over. Thank you all for indulging me in that. I find it enjoyable for my content creators I watch. I like hearing about their behind the scenes bullshit, so I sometimes feel like sharing it, but y'all are here for the BDSM questions, so let's do that. Yes, Onkazone. Okay, but somebody else knows what it was. And there's versions of it that are cropped or are just completely different videos that are just like regular dancing videos. This one was not that. This one was like, Onkazone 18 plus only, see the real meme here, was like the name of the video. And I was like, it literally says 18 plus in the title and it's not age gated. Like, okay. Why not, I guess? Why not? Oh, goodness. I mean, I have to imagine at some point we're going to have a future where this will all have been figured out, but it's not the case currently. And we are in a state of transition. Oh, okay. Got a couple of really good questions here. So Brian asked, do you know about Primal Play? I believe you may have commented on my video earlier today asking if I can talk about Primal Play. This is one of those areas, and I'm sorry for those of you who have been like watching these streams for a long time, you're going to hear me say this again. I have videos, one's on my Patreon. I have talked about predator and prey dynamics before, which would be the closest. The reason why I don't talk about Primal Play is it's one of those categories that is very hard to nail down. It's not like bondage. It's not like medical play. It's not like pet play where you can really narrow down, this is what it is. These are the reasons why. This is the clothing and the behavior and the community behind it and the history and all that stuff. You don't really have that for Primal play. When I was very first getting into the community a couple of years ago, which, God, how long has it been? How long have I been doing BDSM for at this point? Like 6 years? 5 years? Sometimes I am like surprised how long I've been doing stuff for. But anyways, that was like kind of first really getting named and started sort of having larger understanding when I was very first getting into the kink world. And now it's a little bit more solidified, but like no one has a clear definition about what it is or isn't. There's not really any overarching community behind Primal play that is like, this is what it is, this is how you do it. There's so many variations on it. It has very fluid definitions behind it, and I don't feel like comfortable making a video about that topic when it's like so hard to nail down exactly what it is. I'm sure I will talk about it at some point. I've had so many people request it. I just like don't feel comfortable talking about it on YouTube because that really like solid information isn't there yet in terms of having I don't think it's like it's just like I imagine this was maybe similar to maybe where like age play was for the het BDSM community like 20-25 years ago, like when that was first really like starting to be recognized. Like where is the line between like CGL and age play, for example? Like now the community has had a lot of time where it has a lot of its own events, it has national conventions, there's so many resources for it to where it's like very, very widely understood. Whereas Primal play, it's literally, and I've gone to classes for it before. I've gone to classes for it. I've read so many articles about it. Like I've done a lot of research into it because it was one of the first kinks that like I ever found. And every single article you read about it, every different post about it on FetLife, they're all like subtly different and they definitely conflict with each other and disagree with each other. And it's like, I don't know what to do with that information. So the best that I can offer is really my own personal experience and my own personal interpretation. But I also have like, because again, like Primal play is one of the things that I'm into. I have a very unique like personal interpretation of Primal play that is primarily based on power exchange and not actually based on scenes and like takedown and capture and like other sort of kinks that overlap with Primal play. And I think most people perceive Primal play as like more of a scene oriented thing and less being power exchange oriented. But because like I am gravitating towards this kind of unusual part of the spectrum of being into that, like I get the other stuff, but that's not really like the thing that I'm into isn't even really necessarily covered under that umbrella in the way that most people talk about it. So anyways, very long story wrapped up in a bow now is I don't feel comfortable talking about it because there's just not like a solid community consensus on what it is and what it is not. And so I just don't feel like it's like ready for that yet, you know, to make something, because I have to keep in mind, right? Like when I make a 101 video on something that is potentially, and I don't want people to treat it this way, but I can't help it. A lot of people watch those videos if they're just like randomly looking for a topic. Like I want to know about age play. Great. Okay. I'm going to go to this age play 101 video. Like somebody can walk away from that video thinking this is a perfect summary of this whole thing and I understand it now, and it could get disseminated throughout the community. It could become very influential. It could sort of like, it could make other people like feel like, well, I watched this video and this lady said this is what this is, so you're wrong. And like I really don't want to facilitate that. I'd rather like have those kind of smaller scale conversations first, like in groups and classes and things, and figure that stuff out later, versus sort of having this almost top-down effect of like, well, this YouTube video from this YouTuber that has this many subscribers said it means this, so you're wrong. And like that's not what I want to have happen. So that being said, I will talk about it at some point. Just don't keep asking me. I get a lot of people that ask me questions like, can you talk about this? Can you talk about this? Can you make a video about this? I'm like, yes, I can if you pay me. I had somebody tip me $100 on the last live stream, and now I'm making a video review for them about an Anne Rice series of erotica books. So you know what? If there is sufficient monetary motivation for me to do so. I may do it, but I have no promises, and you can't bully me into doing some things, is the thing. And I've gotten many, many requests to cover that over the years. Anyways, moving on. We have a question here from Zernicki. I've heard... Oh. Honey, are we okay? Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. I've heard swingers only allow couples into events. BDSM parties do the same thing. So, I'm laughing because there is an event that I am permanently RSVP'd to on FetLife that is called Not Attending Any Events That Have Gendered Pricing Structures. And I have definitely seen, and this may vary in different locations, like if you're in Europe or something, this may be different. But from where I live in America and the events that I have been to, if you do something, you see something like, usually even with swingers, it's not couples only, but the prices are different. There are some swingers parties where it is couples only. Other ones, like the more common ones I think that I've seen around here, are it's couples get in for, let's say, $25. And then single men get in for $50, and single women get in for free. And like that's kind of somewhat of the more typical structure. And I have seen some BDSM parties that are similar, where it's couples and single men and single women. However, around here, I've only really seen that once or twice, and it's been at like private parties at people's homes. And I generally take that as a red flag that either it's going to be a very sex-focused party or an orgy, or at the very least is usually mildly transphobic, because usually they usually don't include trans women in the single women get in free policy. Yeah, swingers are kind of transphobic. I'm sure it's not really surprising to anyone, but they can be, and that's unfortunate and sad. But yeah, I don't think BDSM parties generally do the same thing. I would say the structure for pricing I've seen more often is some parties are only for members, and that's one set price. But usually they have one price that is for non-members and a price that is for members. And sometimes, like if there's a class along with the party, or if it's a party that, you know, decides to have things be more couple-oriented, there will be different prices for like singles, like single ticket, double tickets, so for a couple, and then like throuple tickets for like a threesome. And that I've seen as well before, but that is a little bit less common. Where I have seen that has been at like rope events where you are like practicing, and like there's a limited amount of space for everyone to have enough room to do their stuff, and so they have to have a pretty like accurate head count of like, okay, well, like if we get 3 single tickets, is that 3 different hard points we have to have versus like one throuple that can share a hard point together? So like that can kind of happen for sometimes like practical reasons. But yeah, I don't think gendered or like couple based pricing structures really are the mainstay. I'm sure in some places they still are, but that's not really something that happens a lot here. Ice therapy is the use of ice. That is a very creative way to get around the YouTube censor. To the female cradle of nerves at the midpoint of the scene. I do remember this question. No. And I don't know. Do I have lipstick on my teeth? I don't know why you would think I would do that. Ed, I'm sorry. No. I actually don't generally recommend sticking ice cubes to mucous membranes, unless you want the same thing to happen to your genitals as what happens to your tongue when you stick an ice cube to it, or a pole, like a frozen pole outside, like in a Christmas Story. So, yeah, it's gonna be a no. Sorry. Okay, so Eric asked, how has being a public figure in BDSM affected your relationship with the hobby? I don't know why my like voice suddenly like completely like dried up there for a second. I drank water and then my voice got dry. Why did that happen? How has being a public figure in BDSM affected your relationship with the hobby? There's been like a couple of different things, I think. I think on the one hand, I have had a lot of good opportunities because of that, because I don't think if I had made BDSM my job, I wouldn't do as much reading about it. I wouldn't do as many classes about it. Like, there are a lot of areas of BDSM that don't really hold any personal interest to me that I otherwise would never have looked up, never would have read about, never would have attended a class for. And having it as my job has actually offered me a lot of opportunities to reassess things that I am into and things that I enjoy and like, that maybe if I had just gone off of like what I internally feel, would have been like, oh, it's not really for me. But because I'm like, well, there's people who want me to talk about this thing, so I should look it up. Like, it sort of has pushed me to be more open to a lot of different ideas around kink. I think it has also, like, I will say, like, the one negative thing that kind of comes out of making really anything in particular your job, well, there's sort of two things, I guess, but the main thing for me is I am always very worried when I go to public events, like, even if it's like a really small munch, actually, especially if it's a smaller munch, I worry about people knowing me from the internet, because especially when it's like a smaller local thing, then it's like, oh crap, they probably have figured out that like I live really close to around here, like they might think they know like what neighborhood I live in. Like, I get really worried about stuff like that. I haven't had too many issues with that. I think I've talked about this before on stream. I have met people at munches before that know me from the internet, but somehow they've been traveling from somewhere else. They're like, oh yeah, I'm visiting from like somewhere, and I'm visiting from Europe or whatever, and they just like are there for the long weekend or for a couple of weeks or a month for a job, and they're just exploring the local kink community and just like know of me and are like happy to see me around. They're not like I'm gonna see them repeatedly over and over again. I have definitely ran into people that know me at parties, and I would say that's like the bigger issue, because then I feel like there must be people that watch me that know of me from the internet, and there's kind of like this weird performance anxiety that goes along with that. Like, it feels like people are gonna judge me more because they have a certain expectation about like, oh, well, she's like a YouTuber that talks about BDSM, so she must do all these like really intense, really hard scenes. Or even feeling like I want to have maybe a really intimate scene with a partner and I want to do it in public around my friends, but then I can't do it in public. I can't do it at a dungeon because, oh no, then people are gonna see me, and they might talk about me on the internet.
Pineapple donated $20. Dear Evie, I'm so happy I've caught a live stream.
Yay.
How is your night going? I see you have a Bandit surgery fund as Little Bandit. Okay, I know this isn't BDSM related, but I have a dog myself who just went through heartworm, so I wanted to see if the
poor baby. Well, I can show you the baby. Hello, girl. You want to come say hello to the people? Come say hello to the people. No, you want to sit on our bed? She just turned around in her bed and then sat down again. She was like, no, I don't want to move. I don't want to move. Hi, I promise it'll just be for a minute, and then you can go right back out to snuggling. I'm a sweetie girl. Come on. I will hold you. Here. Oh, sweet girl. Ooh, ow. You're stuck in my hair. So this is the Bandit. How are we feeling? Are we sleepy, girl? What's going on? Are we just like such twins? Look at us. We so match. Look at our color schemes. So Bandit is doing okay. She had a leg injury a couple months ago. She partially tore her ACL. And we have been on a waiting list for a very, very long time for a surgery consultation to know what to do about the injury, because we went to the vet initially and they did like a full exam and x-rays and everything. And I guess they aren't able to fully do everything at a vet. And they were like, hey, we think from this that she at least partially tore the ACL. What is going on? You want to lay down? I know, we're a very sleepy girl. Very sleepy. And she partially tore her ACL, at least, or fully tore it. They couldn't really tell me which one. And they just basically gave me a course of anti-inflammatories to give her and just have her rest a lot and everything else, and then just like wait for the surgery consultation. So I don't actually know what needs to be done at this point, if it's going to be like something really invasive, if it's going to be physical therapy, because at this point it's been so long that she's actually recovered quite a bit. She still limps like a lot, and that was like the thing initially, and how I knew something was wrong was like she was not putting any weight on that one leg at all. It's one of her back legs, and now she walks like pretty confidently on it. Like there are sometimes during the day where she'll like not really want to walk on it, or if we're outside on like hard surfaces, like if we're walking on like cement, for example, for a long period of time, she doesn't really want to put her leg down. But we've kind of been doing more shorter walks and things and enjoying life a little bit more. And she's definitely made a lot of progress, but you know, who knows what they're going to find when they actually do something. Because I'm a little bit worried, because it looks like her leg might be kind of a little bit crooked a little bit, and that may just be how her back leg is, because and if you don't know, I got her when she was an adult, and when she was a puppy, one of her previous owners, I found out later, I was not told this at the time I got her, but I later found out that apparently when Bandit was a very little puppy, she fell off of a deck and broke one of her back legs, and she has like pins in her knee because of that. And so I don't know if it's the leg that's injured that's crooked, or if it's the leg that has the pins and it's crooked. So I don't know which one is the problem. But yeah, she's a little trooper. She's my little trooper baby. Yes, we're a good girl. We saw a cat the other day on a walk, and that was very spooky. We were not a fan of the cat. The cat was just popped out of nowhere. Oh my goodness. And cats are so unpredictable. We don't know what they do. Huh. All right, Bandit's going to be on my lap, I guess, now. She's not really. She's like, all right, I'm comfortable here. I'm not leaving. I don't want to get up. But thank you for asking. I am in the process tonight of editing a very long video. Actually, it's going to be, I'll just spoil it. So the next Halloween video that's going to be out next week is going to be a big old long BDSM 101 video on vampire roleplay. And I always do this to myself. Like, I think my script was like 5 pages long, single space, like 11-point font, which, you know, if you're in college still and you're writing essays, that's like equivalent to like a 10 or 11 page paper. So I like just have a very, very long video to edit basically. And I think I'm like 20% of the way through, and it's gonna be a while to keep editing it. It's not like the visuals on it aren't intense. It's just like, I had so much to say about this subject. It's so long. Yeah, I'm doing all right tonight. Doing all right. Yeah, thanks for asking. I'm also very much enjoying Animal Crossing still. So there's that. All right. Next question. Oh, I was still talking about being a public figure in BDSM. I think I was talking about, like, yeah, having to perform in public is definitely something that I worry about, because then it's like, oh, like, people who know me are going to judge me, and, like, what if they talk about it later or ask me about it later because they saw me there and I didn't know? Like, it definitely, there can be a little bit of, like, paranoia there, especially because I do have partners that I do BDSM with that the internet like doesn't know the face of, or hasn't seen before, or doesn't like know about, obviously. Like, I don't talk about every single person I've ever done BDSM with by name on the internet. And so like I worry about that as well, because then it's like, well, this person knows me from the internet and they know my YouTube channel and they saw me with this person, so, and they might figure out their name, and like, I don't know, like it just makes me a little bit uncomfortable sometimes. So that I think is like the sort of the really big change. As it being a hobby. I do sometimes joke that I spend more time talking about BDSM than doing BDSM. I did actually, I'm going to talk about this for Patreon actually. I did a really long impact play scene, like probably the most intense impact play scene I've done like since the start of quarantine. I did a 2-hour long impact play scene earlier last week, and I'm gonna talk about it. It's like I'm gonna talk on Patreon about like catharsis play and like self-care, and like that's definitely not an edge play topic I feel very comfortable putting on YouTube, because it's like, oh, this could definitely be misused for like self-harm related stuff and trying to use BDSM as therapy. So I mean, we don't want that information to be super public, but yeah, I'm going to talk about like using like therapeutic BDSM experiences and catharsis and things like that. And yeah, I joke that I'm not a masochist, but then I do stuff like that and I'm like, oh, that's definitely evidence to the contrary. But I have to be in a very particular mood for it, you know? I have to be in a very particular headspace, and I am like willing to wait for that headspace to happen versus like doing it for the sake of doing it, you know? I am wearing a hoodie that I got on vacation. That is what I am wearing, as you can see. It's like, I don't know if this is like, this isn't like acid wash. It's like they bleached it and then they dyed it on top of the bleached parts, maybe? Is that how that works? I don't know. I am not a tie-dye scientist, as it turns out. So, isn't ice on nerves unsafe? I don't know about that. I have seen updated information where at least ice is no longer recommended as a treatment for a nerve injury. I don't know if that makes it unsafe per se. But that is different than it being on mucous membranes, I think. So slightly different thing. Although a lot of mucous membranes have a lot of nerves in them, so I guess it does sort of go together. If a munch is a fair away, so worth going. What is is it that sounds like a very British unit of measurement. Like a fair bit, like a. This is like the fortnight of distance. A fair distance apart. Oh. Is it maybe a French phrase? Like means remote? Don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and guess what you mean, and if it means something different or it's more particular, let me know. But if it is a longer distance away, is it worth going to? I would say it may not be worth going to regularly, like every single week, especially if you're really busy and are very occupied with work and like family stuff. But I think even if it's like a longer distance away, if you find yourself with the opportunity to go where it wouldn't be like additionally stressful to have to go that far, I would definitely go at least once. I would just go and see what it's like, because you never know who you're going to meet there. You never know who you're going to run into or what friendships you might make really spontaneously. You may find like the perfect like group of friends you always wanted to have at that munch, and if you never go, then you're never going to be able to meet them. So I think it's worth going at least once, but yeah, whether or not you go regularly or ever go again is more up for debate, or more up in the air, more accurately, versus like just deciding to go once. But if it's like 3 hours away, like for me, I really, really don't like driving. It's not my thing. I don't understand why people go for joy rides. If I was a really rich person, or if I was like a pro dom or something, like the first person I would hire would be like a professional chauffeur. I genuinely really, really do not enjoy driving. So for me, I either go when I can carpool with people, or I go when it's within like 30 minutes or so, maybe 45 for like a party. But otherwise, I try to stay kind of within a reasonable distance for me. But if it's like 3 hours away, I'm probably not going to go. Like, I know there's events that are in Portland, for example, that I could totally drive to, but that would still be hours away, and it's not worth it for me to go to that. I'm like, yeah, Portland, just enjoy yourself. I'm gonna stick up here and not be in my car for half the day. How about that? I have not already posted the 1950s video. It is up as a preview on my Patreon, but the 1950s video is going up after Halloween, because just of how the scheduling for things worked is I wanted to make sure I had the Manson update out, because that was like a news thing and it's very topical. So that ended up being my last video before I started making the Halloween videos for this year. But it should be like one of the first videos that comes out in November should be the 1950s roleplay video. So, or not even just role play, but it's a 1950s like household in general thing. But yeah, if you want to watch it now, it is on Patreon as a preview. Yeah, and then adding on to the munch question, not to usurp the show, which is fine. I love it when people contribute their own thoughts. I very much, I think it's always good to have multiple perspectives on a topic. But speaking as a munch leader, if it's the closest one to you or one you're really interested in, absolutely, yeah. Very much. I mean, if you don't have really any other option, that's like just the one that's around you and you really want to go and it seems like a good group of people and you're not really going to be put out by going. Like if it's not going to be like, oh, well, I can go, but I'm only going to get 2 hours of sleep before I have to go to work by the time I get home. Like I wouldn't recommend doing that, but yeah. And also, especially with quarantine and with the pandemic, there are a lot of munches that are local that now have options for like virtual like aspects to it. Like maybe they have a Discord chat or they have a group on FetLife or some way to kind of get to know the people that are at the munch before you commit to going, and that can be really good information to have to kind of make sure it's going to be a group of people you get along with, because every munch has its own flavor, its own way that it is organized and ran. Some places are like super friendly to new people, love having new people. It's kind of a younger crowd, all of that. And other ones are more like, you know, everyone's in their 50s. They have kids and grandkids and they've been doing stuff for like 20 plus years and most of them are married. And if you fit into one group and not the other, going to the munch from the other group may like feel more awkward for you. So yeah. Oh, hot take: Spankos take up too much room in the community and manipulate negotiations. I have not heard that before. If people keep miss-swinging. Oh, yeah. I guess that's like, yeah, like in the genital touching kind of way of miss-swinging. I mean, any kind of like, if you only negotiate for one part of your body to be spanked and then a different part is spanked and it's not like a genuine like, oopsie, I misstepped as I was, winding up the backswing, my aim was off. Like, when it was anything that's like a purposeful or repeated error, it's like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Come on. It's sad how many people don't respect PTSD/triggers. IDK if they're just ignorant or purely selfish or what. Yeah, there's a lot of people that like think that triggers and stuff are a joke and are like, what? Like I've heard that before. Like, I'm trying to think of like a example that's not like too personal. Do you want to stay up here, honey? Do you want down? Yeah. Okay, I'll take your word for it. I have heard from people that have had pretty negative experiences with people like kind of verbally saying okay to like, oh yeah, sure, we won't do that, and then like in the scene they decide that they're gonna do it anyways because, oh well, I'd rather do it anyways because like it didn't really think you were serious. It didn't seem like it was that big of a deal. It's like, how bad could it really be? And it's like, I don't know, like how bad it is between you and your therapist. Like, I don't feel like a random third party should be allowed to judge whether or not, like, I'm going to respect this trigger or not based on how serious I think it is. Like, that's like so, like that level of subjectivity is just, I don't think has a place in consensual BDSM, because like if you say you're not going to do something because somebody tells you not to, like don't fucking do it. Just don't do it. Like if somebody says no, take that no as an answer. Don't go like, oh well, well you said no, but I really thought you meant yes, because oh god, I hate when people do that. I know so many people that like their normal way of being in the world is like they take something that someone says and they immediately translate it into something else. They like are incapable of taking people at their word, which is just like not compatible with consensual BDSM. I know people where they're like, you'll tell them something about like, oh yeah, I don't like apple juice, and then I don't know, maybe that's like a bad example, but like you'll tell them something that you don't like something or that you don't want something, and then they'll like give it to you anyways because they're like, oh, well, I didn't think that you were serious, or I didn't think you meant it like that. And it's like, well, yeah, yeah. If for example, like for me, I have a really big pet peeve where like sometimes I'll be with friends and everyone else is ordering food, and maybe I ate before I came over, and they will order food for me even though I didn't ask for any, and now I have like this obligation to eat the food they ordered even though no one asked me if I wanted food. And it's like, well, I said I wasn't hungry and I didn't want food, and then you ordered food for me anyway so you could feel better. Like, that's not how that... I feel like we should understand that as a, like, we're in, like, kink and poly circles, like, communication, taking people at their word. Like, it's almost like they don't trust you to know yourself, and I feel like that's really insulting. Your lipstick is giving me Black Moon cosmetic vibes. It is actually it's very similar to a Black Moon shade. It is a color, I think it's Beeper from ColourPop. It's one of those. Actually, I finally got an email notification from Black Moon earlier today that the black lipstick's in stock. So probably going to be, I'm going to see if they have any other ones in stock. I tried out a new black lipstick for the videos I did with the orange and black look, and that one did not smudge on me. It didn't smear. So, like, thank goodness that one worked out really well. But I kind of just want to see the options, you know? I think that one was really opaque. It had good coverage. It wasn't too much of a pain to get off. It didn't stain or anything. I liked it. I think that one, I think the one I used that I liked was Menagerie Cosmetics, I think was the brand. But Black Moon has a couple of really interesting, like, purpley and kind of gray shades that I'm like, ooh, I want. Oh my gosh, someone can relate. I got in 8th and 9th grade, I got an award for checking out the most books from the library. Jokes on them because it was reading the Fruits Basket manga. I mean, I relate to that. I never read Fruits Basket, but, like, that's really funny. It's like, of course. Of course. That's so funny. That's great. I completely understand that. Okay. This one's a little bit of a longer one. Okay. Let me make sure I think. Okay, I think it's a whole question. What is your opinion on Findoms? They are flooding every platform and leeching on BDSM interested men. I think they are going into it for the wrong reasons. It's sad to see the trend of, and then all one word, gold digger doms. And I have a video coming out in November, because it's been delayed because of the Halloween videos. I have a video coming out in November that is about how to spot a fake pro dom. And I talk about that in there a little bit. It's not the focus of the video, but it is sort of, it's about spotting fake pro doms. And so that also means talking about, like, scammers, fakes, bot accounts, anything like that. And I want to offer people the benefit of the doubt. And that I think sometimes people are confused, and I think there's a lot of unfortunate misinformation on the internet about, like, you guys remember that one really viral video on YouTube that was about, like, I sell pictures of my feet for money, and it's like how I made thousands of dollars selling pictures of my feet. And I feel like there's a lot of, like, hustle culture sort of information where people see findoming, pro-doming, sugar babying, anything that's sex work or kink related or fetish related as, like, a get rich quick scheme because, haha, stupid men and having sexual needs they're willing to pay for. How dare they? And I know there's a lot of issues with a lot of sites. I know, I want to say OnlyFans has something about this where I think there's a lot of legitimate, like, sex workers that used OnlyFans as a way to provide services during the pandemic. And then there were a lot of people that, like, have the very, like, every comment is like, fuck you, pay me. It's like, that is a style of being a findom. But if the only thing you do is say, hello, worthless slut, here's my bank account, pay me money. Like, you're not really actually, you don't understand this kink at all, do you? So I get kind of offended when people that are, I think the thing that bothers me is people that are outside of the BDSM community that especially dislike BDSM. Like, that's like, oh God, that's the worst. Like, additional negative 50 points if you're judgmental about BDSM, but then do findom stuff because you want to make money. Like, Come on now, what's that about? So you have people that are not kinky, that have never done BDSM before, that usually find their clients to be like, they have very negative feelings about their clients. I think they're like gross, repulsive, disgusting, just like creepy, weird old men is how they think about their clients, right? They don't actually respect them as people. They're just like, oh, gross, I'll take their money. Blah. And they come in and they see, cool, it seems like it's so easy to make money doing this, and they make an account, they make a Twitter, they make a OnlyFans, they make a whatever, and I think the really big issue that happens is you get a bunch of guys that are really horny, thinking with their brain that's downstairs, like not like oh, you guys know the meme where it's like, is it from The Office? I think it's from The Office. The one where it's like these two pictures are the same. I think I may be describing that incorrectly. Like this is the same picture. Is that what it's called? I want to make sure I'm quoting it correctly so I don't sound like a boomer. Yeah, it's like they show two different pictures and it's like the response is like they're the same picture. And I think a lot of like submissive men that kind of want to find a pro dominant and want to have a good experience get really burned by either bots or scammers or people that don't know what the fuck they're doing and like compromise their personal information. And then they sort of paint all pro doms that have a better reputation as being the same as the ones that have like basically blank profiles and no information. It's like, that's why I made that video, is like, I want to help you understand how to decipher between somebody that is a scammer that knows nothing about BDSM and only wants your money versus someone that is a legitimate service provider that has like a passion for this lifestyle and wants you to have a good experience. I think this is like an ongoing problem that's happened for a long time. I just don't know what the solution to it is, because there are already so many problems for sex workers, for Findoms, for pro-doms in general. MasterCard is cracking down. You can't like use a lot of payment providers at all. You can't use PayPal. The pandemic has made it really hard for a lot of doms that maybe had like in-person studios or rented a room in a dungeon or something. Like they couldn't work there for a long period of time, and maybe now they can't afford rent because business has been slow, and like it's like a whole just like spiral of problems, and I don't know what to do. And so the solution I've kind of decided on is like, okay, well then we need to like educate people that want to buy these services on like not thinking with the lower half of the brain, thinking with the whole brain, and being able to decipher from scammer and legitimate person. Because I mean, whenever I found somebody on like Twitter or somewhere where somebody's been like, so this person contacted me and they said that I should give them my bank account information and go buy Walmart gift cards. Does this seem okay? And it's like, no. No, it does not. But a lot of people don't know that because they have personal fantasies that maybe they feel embarrassed about, or that they don't really realize are different in reality versus porn, and they just like make bad choices, and then everyone loses, you know? Everyone loses. Oh my God, we only have half an hour left. Time has flown by, my friends. Time has flown the heck by. Where has it gone? Okay. I'm not going to lightning round questions until like 10 minutes, until we have like 10 minutes left. But thank you so much for all these really wonderful questions. I feel like we're getting a lot figured out here today. I like it. You need Sleepwalker. I love Haunting for a Deep Nude. Sanguis and DeVille are also really great reds from Black Moon. I have so many red lipsticks. I feel like I probably shouldn't buy anymore because I end up like my default makeup look when I'm like, I don't know what else to do, is I used to default to more like neutral, like not even like this. Although I think the next look I want to do for a video is something like this. This literally took me 10 minutes. It's one eyeshadow and pencil eyeliner and lipstick. I really didn't do anything for this whatsoever. But I think I would want to do something like this for my next YouTube video when I next have a filming day, just because I enjoy like the all over really dark eye. I think that's a really good look, I feel like. So I might do that next. But I found for some reason this year, it's been the year of red. And like, if I don't really know what else to do, I'm like, oh yeah, red sounds fun. And then I end up doing like 4 videos in a row that all have red eyeshadow. And I am glad that trend caught on, because it used to be really hard to find red eyeshadow. I remember for a long time, the only 2 red eyeshadows I had were the NYX Primal colors, the like single eyeshadows. I had that red, and I had a red that was really a dark pink from a Viseart palette, and that was like really it. It was really hard to find reds for a long time, and we've just come such a long way. We've come such a long way, haven't we? Even in the non-carmine red department, we've made improvements. I'm doing my nails for the first time in years thanks to this stream. Well, I am glad you're enjoying it. I mean, I've been looking at my nails a lot during the stream, and like, I'm not kidding you, like 20% of my brain power is devoted to like, I think I should just repaint my entire right hand, because for some reason, I am left-handed, but my right hand is much, I don't know if it's gonna, there we go. This is my left hand. This is my right hand. I'm left-handed, but for some reason my right hand is like, just way more messed up. I don't know what I did there. I don't know. I think I picked at this middle nail a little bit. Like I could feel that part of it was peeling off, and I just took the rest of it off. I don't know. I only did one layer of this though, and actually I really like this nail polish. It's Nailtopia. It's a little bit expensive, but you can buy it at Ulta. Really good quality. The black is totally opaque in one coat. It's so good, and it dries the quickest and is really solid, the quickest out of any of the other nail polishes I've bought. So this is like, when I do paint my nails, this is the one that I go to. If anyone cares. Black is not your natural color. I know, mind-blowing, isn't it? I have very dark eyebrows, which I think makes it look more natural, but I have always been very jealous of the girls, and frankly the guys, that's any gender of human that has dyed black hair, that has really light colored eyes, like when they have blue eyes or green eyes. I have very slightly hazel eyes. You can't usually tell in light. Like, you can't, I'm gonna move, because there we go, that's probably better, isn't it? I have very slightly hazel eyes, but I just feel like there's a very like certain look that looks like really good with black hair when you have light colored eyes, and I'll never know what that looks like. I'll never know. I guess I could have circle lenses that are really light blue. I haven't actually ever tried that before. Every once in a while I'll get circle lenses for a look or for a costume or something, and then I wear them once, and because I don't like wear contacts or glasses or anything, I never like change the contact lens fluid, and so the next time that I need to wear a pair, I have to buy new ones because it's been like 6 months. So it's just like, it's not very resourceful. It's not very good for the environment, I think, for me to be wearing stuff like that. How do I want to do this? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I'm sorry if that sounded weird with the microphone. Just a streak of color would be cool. Always thought was a great style. Oh yeah, like the very like 90s, just like one piece of hair is like one color. I've definitely wanted to do that. I've also just like never bleached my hair before. I think I would need to find a hairdresser that I really trusted to do it, and I don't have any hairdressers I trust. So maybe after I do that, that would happen. We'll have to say for this live with my friends and I are having a wonderful virtual movie night. Oh my gosh, so exciting. So I'm going to have to say bye. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoy your virtual movie night. So fun. You're right. I could try clip-in extensions. I should, actually. It's something I've thought about before, because I know a lot of people wear clip-in extensions, especially if they dye their hair a lot, they do that, but I've just never, again, it's like on the like, oh, that sounds like a cool idea, and then I never do it. I just never do it. Glitter does cover up a lot of sins, that is right. Actually, I have a whole like pressed glitter palette in my makeup collection, and I almost never use it. On videos, at least, I do wear it going to parties and stuff. Because I guess, I don't know, I don't know why. It's just like, I think I worry too much about getting the glitter perfectly even between my eyes, and like being on camera, that always bothers me, but if it's in person, I don't really give a crap. I did get I had a friend give me some really cool sequined masks, and I'm very excited to wear them, because sort of the whole reason the topic for today was about like dungeons and things is because I am going to my first actual party in 2 years. Cannot believe that that is a sentence I'm saying that's actually true. I am going to my first party in 2 years on the 5th. That weekend's going to be fucking nuts because I'm fulfilling my 11-year-old dream of going to an Evanescence concert that weekend. So I'm going to an Evanescence concert, and I'm going to a BDSM party, and I'm also teaching a class. So like, just for the 3rd to the 8th, do not expect to see me at all. Oh, I'm also going on a podcast on the 9th. So there's that as well. Yeah, gonna be very busy. But anyways, I'm going to my first ever party in 2 years on the 5th. And I'm like, I don't know what to wear. I have PVC, I have latex. I'm not gonna wear latex just because I am very conscious of the fact that a lot of people have latex allergies. And so I generally don't go to general BDSM events wearing latex because of that. But like, I could. Like, I haven't had to make an outfit to wear to a dungeon in like years, literally years. What am I gonna wear? I have a whole closet of stuff I haven't worn in 2 years because I only ever wear it when I go to parties, and I've been in my house for 2 years, so I'm losing my mind trying to come up with an outfit. But I do have a black sequin, a purple sequin, and a red sequin, and they're all like dark colors, and the backs of all of the masks are black, so they're dark. I don't know which one of them I want to wear to go to the party in. I'm leaning towards the purple or the red. And I'm kind of thinking purple because red is, like, I feel like I would stand out more in purple. I feel like purple is more, that's kind of, it's weird. Like, that light, and when I have that light and it's purple and green together, it looks very purple. But right now it looks blue. And I don't, color science is happening. So I think I'm leaning towards the purple sequin look. Yeah, that's I'm like, I have so many potential outfits to wear, and it's like, I want to play when I go there. So what do I wear that I can play in? Like, I have, actually, I think last year when I moved into this apartment, I got like sort of my dream pair of shoes. I would love a pair of Louis Vuittons as well, but my dream pair of shoes I got was a pair of Jeffrey Campbell, like real chunky, real big platform boots. And I really want those to be in the outfit. And now I just got to figure out what the rest of the outfit looks like. I have like really cool, like I have harnesses that have like big layers of tulle coming off of them. Like, I could go really out there with an outfit if I wanted to, but it's also going to be like a newbie party. Like, I'm going with a friend that hasn't been to this particular dungeon before, and so we're going to like a newbie night together to kind of introduce them to the scene. And I don't want to go too hardcore and too overboard because I don't want to like stick out compared to a lot of other people that are maybe newer to the scene, but I could just be extra. I don't know. What do you guys think? Extra or not extra? I feel like extra is probably the answer. No, actually, I very particularly dress plainly when I do YouTube videos. There's a reason that I consciously choose to wear just t-shirts and like wear sweatshirts and stuff when I'm on camera. One is I hate doing laundry. Well, I don't hate doing laundry, but like I hate wearing an outfit just to film and then immediately put in the wash, you know? I also, people always have very opinionated comments about what I wear, and I, like, in terms of my makeup and like hair and everything else, and I get all kinds of comments about that. And I would prefer that people focus on the videos and what I'm saying. And the makeup is nice and it's sort of an extra. And I do have videos occasionally where I talk about makeup more in detail. But I just don't want it to all be too distracting from what I'm trying to say. And so I just try to be very, just very, very, like, just like, you're not even noticing the outfit because it's just like a black t-shirt, you know? Just like whatever color goes with the makeup look is kind of what I go for, and that's really it. Okay, I think extra is the clear winner. I do occasionally do videos on Patreon that are more like outfit related. Like, I will probably I don't know if I'm going to do a live stream for this or if I'm going to record a video. I would like to do a video or something of like, I think obviously a story time about going to the event, like after it happens, but before, either maybe doing I don't remember what day of the week is the 5th. I think it's a Saturday. Oh, it is a Friday. Okay. Actually, I think with the timing of when the party starts and when like the member orientation is, I'm either going to stream early on that Friday or I'm not going to be streaming. I think I'm going to stream early. I will probably do my makeup on stream on the 5th, just so you guys can see what I'm going to be putting on my face. I may do a video for Patreon or something of like picking out the outfit, or maybe, I can't change on camera, like on YouTube, like, or really anywhere. Can't really do that. So I can't do like outfit try. Maybe I would do like an outfit try on or like a lookbook of like different options. And then I would kind of talk about, and this one is the one that I went with or something. I don't know. The idea is I don't really make clothing and makeup related content very often. So I'm not sure like what the people prefer to see. I know that there's a Vogue, the Vogue YouTube channel does like a week of outfits with like different YouTubers. Like they do like a week of outfits with Emma Chamberlain, a week of outfits with Olivia Jade, a week of outfits with, I've ran out of YouTuber names that Dixie D'Amelio. Who do the kids watch? I don't know. One of those people. So I know that people like seeing that kind of thing, but yeah, sort of up in the air what that content's gonna look like. But I want to share it with you all because I am so excited. Oh my goodness. I'm going to see so many people I haven't seen in a long time. I'm going to go back to a dungeon again for the first time in forever. Like, I'm trying not to have too high of expectations just because it's like the higher the expectations, the more likely it is I will be disappointed. But I have hope. I'm allowed to have hope, right? I can have hope. That's fair. That's fine. All right. Sorry. I have been rambling. We do have like 15 minutes, so I will get back to answering questions. Okay, I do normally answer questions that are in order. I know that if I know if I answer in order, I won't be able to answer this, and I think it's really important, so I am going to usurp my own rule temporarily for this, because I want to make sure I get to it. So Cosmos asked, Dear Evie, I went to my first munch on last Wednesday. The theme was pain play. I felt a little bit excluded because as people were only talking about signs of skin and nerve damage on white/pale skin and I'm black. I know you won't really relate, but I'd like any advice you can give because I think you're a great BDSM educator. Should I worry there wasn't any mention of signs on black skin, or is it simply an instant case of like there are more white people in BDSM? I'm going to use generic terms. Sorry for the serious question, but thank you for all your videos. Love the content. Perfectly fine question. I think that is so important. I don't really know about, signs of nerve damage tend to be very physical sensations and are not really related to skin tone changes. You can have changes in coloring from circulation compression, but that is not correlated with nerve damage. So that shouldn't, like for nerve stuff, that really shouldn't be an issue. And if somebody was teaching and conflating, oh, if your skin turns purple or your skin turns red or pink, that means you're experiencing nerve damage, that's actually incorrect information as well as being exclusionary towards different skin colors. So kind of a negative 2-for-1 there. And I think also, like, if anybody here is a person of color and has like personal advice that they can give in terms of like how they recognize those signs on themselves and they feel comfortable sharing, I would love to be able to read that out, because I do think there is a problem with a lot of education being very like white skin focused in terms of like spanking makes your skin turn pink, or, and I know I use language like that as well because it's just like what I default to from my own experience, and I try to be good about that, but I do mess up on that one for sure. But yeah, nerve damage and skin color change aren't necessarily correlated. But when it comes to like bruising, for example, that is different. Or if you are talking about circulation compression, that is different on darker skin. I have heard some like really fucked up stuff where like people like don't play with people with darker skin tones because they're like, oh, well, I can't tell if they're bruising. Okay, I guess that's They're I feel like I could Google this to figure out how to describe it better. I'm gonna guess what I'm gonna do. But like, okay, it can still like cause discoloration. It's just gonna like look different, you know? It's not gonna be like pink, obviously, but like there is going to be a like color change that happens, you know? And yeah, it sucks that like, and I know that I will say I have heard people talk about this in classes before where they are inclusive towards like darker skin tones, and they do get into detail about like you know, so what bruising looks like on this color of skin or looks like on this skin tone, because it can also change on like different skin tones as well. It also depends on the type of bruising as well, and like some other factors too. But yeah, it can like you can totally get bruises and all of that even on like darker complexions. It's like totally a thing. Yeah, and experienced impact players should know if they are bruising someone. They should. And also, like, even if it's like, maybe it's like a not well lit area and like you can't really see the person that clearly, like, you can usually feel and tell. Like, when I was doing the impact play scene I did a couple days ago, like, I could feel my skin welting, even if I couldn't, like, because actually the room was like pretty dark, so even I couldn't really see on my skin what was happening, but I could feel there and I could like, oh yeah, that feels like welting. Like I could still tell that there was like skin damage. I didn't have to tell what color it was to be like, oh yeah, that sounds and seem, well, it doesn't sound like, it feels like something's going on there, you know? Yeah, and that's the thing, and it takes longer to bruise so you don't see it immediately. Yeah, yeah, that's like, and that's with any kind of bruising, I feel like that's something to be aware of is the bruising that happens kind of earlier on in the scene as you're still doing the play. It takes a while for that to show up because obviously when you think about like what bruising is, it doesn't always happen immediately. Like it takes time for bruising to build up, which is why you see bruises change from like an hour afterwards, 6 hours after, 12 hours, 24, 36, etc. Like that is why that bruising changes over time, is because like the bruising develops. And so it might not be immediately apparent on the skin initially, which is why you have to like, anytime you have a new partner, doesn't really matter your personal experience level, because everyone that you were playing with, and like I'm talking about experience level as like the top, um everyone you're playing with is going to bruise differently. That could be because of maybe they have anemia and they don't realize it, or maybe they're dehydrated, or maybe it's because they have a very high body fat or very low body fat, because your body fat percentage can also impact bruising, or maybe they do a lot of impact play and so they bruise more slowly, or maybe they've never done impact play before at all, in which case they would bruise quite easily. And anywhere in between, any combination of those things can all make bruising appear differently. And so that's why it's good to like play cautiously at first and monitor how things are going. And then if you decide you want to go harder later and that you like, you know, oh, okay, we can handle more, we can do more, you do that in other scenes later after you've kind of figured out, okay, this is sort of like your bruising pattern, which parts of your body bruise what ways. Like you get that initial information first, and that is so applicable for so many things, from like using safe words, in-scene communication, aftercare needs. All of that is going to be calibrated in your first couple of scenes, and you can't make assumptions about how everything is going to go unless you've actually had that experience of playing with that individual first. Um, but yeah, I think sort of in general, like, um, it's so hard because like a lot of BDSM dungeons are really poorly lit, so it can be hard to tell. Like even on skin you're really familiar with, like bruising is happening or not. But like it's still like there is still a color change. It still does get darker. It takes typically a little bit longer to show up, and it depends on like the undertone of the skin as well. What sort of superficial color you see first. So you have like a cooler skin tone, it's more likely to look kind of more like bluish initially, usually. Or like purpley. Whereas if you have like a really warm undertone, it maybe might appear more like green or like just and like the tones of it can kind of change a little bit as well. But usually there is going to be a darkening of the skin surface, regardless of what your like starting skin tone is going to be, and that should be a like bare minimum what somebody should be able to recognize as an educator talking about like bruising and impact play and pain play and stuff is like, hey, skin color changes happen. But the thing is it's actually, in terms of damage, it's actually, unless you're doing something really stupid, it is very hard to actually cause like permanent damage doing pain play related stuff. Unless you're doing like back of the knees, over the kidneys, on the genitals, on the throat, something like that, which you really should just avoid all of those areas personally. Impact play around the genitals is a little bit more like higher risk, but can be done. Very, very particular scenario there, different class. But, you know, it's actually very hard to cause permanent damage doing impact play on most of the parts of the body that people do impact play on. So, like, the upper part of the back. And I have a whole video talking about, like, different areas of the body for impact play, so if you haven't seen that, maybe check it out. But like, you know, the bones in your thigh and your thigh muscles are typically really, really strong. You know, your whole like pelvic girdle area, your glutes, like those typically tend to be very strong as well. And so it's actually very hard to cause like damage doing impact play that's like permanent, irreversible. I would say for pain play in a general sense, like maybe getting in more into like drawing blood territory, I think one thing that absolutely needs to be brought up when it comes to darker skin tones is much, much, much higher risk of keloid scarring. Much higher risk of keloid scarring. So if you're doing anything involving piercing, blood play, if you accidentally draw blood, with something you weren't intending to draw blood with, there is going to be a higher chance of keloid scarring because of the darker skin tone. So that is, I think, like the main, like really key thing to know. That's like definitely a higher risk that is like from the difference in skin tone there. So, but that's like, that could be, I don't think that should be like a newbie munch conversation. Is probably not going to go in the direction of like piercing play, scalpels, human needle harps. Like that's usually not munch conversation topics, but maybe it was for you, so worth mentioning. But yeah, unless you're drawing blood to the point where like there's a risk of scarring, typically like permanent damage is not as much of a risk. And there's a really good website I do recommend to people. It's called Remedial Ropes, and they have another website as well. Let me get a link to that real quick. That's the old website. Where's the new website? Take me to the new website. Thank you, Google. Okay, I am putting in the link. This is for Remedial Ropes. And then let me find the link to their like main website. Yeah, there we go. There's the two websites. So they have really good information on these websites about just a bunch of different things, like nerve injury stuff, impact play, medical myth busting related to engaging in different BDSM activities. Just like a lot of really, really good information that I think is worth looking into a little bit deeper. I forget exactly why he brought that up. It's like, oh, you should read this. Oh yes, I remember now. So the biggest risk, like like people think like, oh, if you do impact play here, you're gonna give yourself a clot, you're gonna get DVT, whatever, you're gonna get deep vein thrombosis, is DVT. Not to be confused with CBT, which is why I specified. So there is a higher risk, or people think there's a higher risk of like, oh, if you do impact play here, you're gonna get like you're gonna get DVT or whatever, and that's like not a thing. Or people think, oh, if you do impact play over bruises, it'll make the bruises go away faster. And just like stuff I never personally heard of, but like I could definitely see why people might say stuff like that. So that's like really, really good myth busting stuff over there. And a lot of people think, oh, impact play is so dangerous, it's so risky. Unless you have a blood clotting issue or you're anemic or you have a hemophilia or something, like if you have a known medical condition involving like blood and circulation issues, yeah, those are going to cause issues. But for most like healthy adults, those aren't really going to be that risky compared to a lot of other potential kink activities you could be doing. And in fact, the thing that is usually the most risky is after you do a heavy impact play scene, if you spend a lot of time like lying down and resting and like not moving a lot and being very sedentary after a scene, like the next day if you feel really sluggish and tired, that does actually put you at higher risk of a medical event. Similarly to when you're on like an airplane, like if you're on like a long haul like continental flight, or you're going to Australia or something, you're on a plane for like 12, 13, 14 hours and you're really sedentary. Sorry, I forget risks. I cannot remember what the word for this is. Oh yes, it is DVT is the thing. Deep vein thrombosis. Like you're more likely to get that from like being very sedentary after your scene and resting than you are from like the impact play itself. So, you know, there's that. Yeah. I'm sorry. I've completely lost the plot on what question I was on previously. I'm going to answer one more and then we are going to wrap up for tonight because I have a giant video that I still need to edit. So I want to make sure I get to that before it's time to go back to bedtime. Already again. They went so fast today. The poodle barked at the screen at Bandit because she's so excited to see a dog. That's very sweet. Okay, I'm trying to go back to where I was at the chat, just to be like fair to other humans that have been patiently waiting for their questions to be answered. Okay, I definitely have had a portion of the chat yeeted away thanks to YouTube, so unfortunately I'm not able to scroll all the way back, but I will try to get to at least one of the earlier questions that I didn't get to yet. Okay, great question to end on. Perfect for the theme of the video. How does a newbie find parties? There's a wonderful website. It's called FetLife. It's not wonderful. It's a website. There's a website called FetLife. FetLife.com. FetLife.com. You go on there, make an account, register what location you live at, like you live in California or Ohio or wherever, and you can find parties and events and organizations and dungeons, and everything is on FetLife, more or less. It is the Facebook of BDSM. If you want to find BDSM events, FetLife is going to be the place to go. Okay, that was actually a very short question, so I do have time for more. In California, there are legal sex surrogates. You think pro-doms might be able to get into that? I have no idea what that is. I know surrogacy in general is, I think, allowed in California. I have never heard of... Okay, so, a quick Google is telling me, although this is from 2016, and so it may be slightly outdated, is it says, no state has laws protecting sexual surrogates. It's not illegal. California's approximately 25 surrogate partners practice inside a gray area that sees them offering therapeutic benefits for those with sexual issues. Don't ask, don't tell. So it looks like it's maybe is not legal per se. I think every pro dom has different, and depends on where they're operating from, and if they're doing stuff solo as part of an organized dungeon, if they offer BDSM services as an escort or working at a brothel as opposed to pro doming being their primary thing. It's more of an add-on to other services. I think different pro doms have different comfort levels with what level of engagement with sex and genitals they have. There are pro doms that no genitals, no CBT, no pegging, no cock worship, nothing involving a penis or a dildo or a plastic penis, no penetration, no anything like that. Nothing like that is happening. I know other pro doms that do stuff like pegging, for example, and CBT, and because it's all done, like, for example, the pegging is done with like a dildo as opposed to like another genital. For some people, they consider that to be in like a gray area or like a level of sex work they're comfortable with, but it certainly is like, I wouldn't say that like all doms engage in like penetrative sex or sexual practices as part of them being pro doms. It always depends on the individual and what they want to do and what's part of their own business, for sure. What? There, okay. Erica says there are wonderful aspects to it, referring to FetLife. There are also cis separatist groups? Every day I learn something new. So you're telling me that on FetLife, and I'm not necessarily surprised by this, I just didn't realize that was what they were called. You're telling me that on FetLife.com there are people that, like, is it like they want to have, like, there's cis separatists and like no trans people are allowed at BDSM events kind of a deal? Or they just want all of society to be separate? Because, I mean, both of those are concerning, but at different levels of concerning. That is certainly a thing that could happen on FetLife.com. I have also seen like Nazi shit on there and stuff before. Just like, they always go, like Nazis always go wherever it is they think they can get away with their shit, and they think, oh, well, if I pretend it's a fetish, it'll be okay. And then people find out that they're just like actually preaching white nationalism, and it's like, oh, no, you're not allowed in here, actually, it turns out. No hate speech. No hate speech is allowed. Thank you very much. Okay, well, I don't really want to end on the note of Nazis, but I don't. Maybe let's find something a little bit short to answer here that's gonna not make Nazis the end note of this live stream, shall we? Maybe I do need to get Bandit a much bigger, older sibling. I'd live in a small apartment, though. I'd feel very bad with a much bigger dog. There's somebody here that literally owns 3 huskies, and I'm like, how do you have 3 huskies in a, like, at most a 2-bedroom apartment? Where do they go? How do they fit in the building? That's like, I cannot imagine. The concentration of fur that has to exist in that house is staggering. They must have a knitting business where they just knit things out of husky fur, maybe. I do love calling Bandit Bandito. I also love calling her Bandita because she is a girl, and some people think that it should be Bandito means she's a boy, and it gets confusing. I always got like Midwest. You're in the Pacific Northwest. Me too. IDKY. I always got like Midwest vibes from you. Sorry, new to the channel. I would love to know, why do you get Midwest vibes from me? That is fascinating because I think maybe that's just the average because it's like I've kind of ping-ponged around the whole US. So maybe when you average it out, it ends up being the Midwest by default, just in terms of like places I've lived. I've never actually, I don't have any family from there. I've never lived in the Midwest. That's like one of the few areas I haven't been to. I haven't been to the far Northeast and I haven't been to the Midwest, like in terms of living places. So yeah, actually not any Midwest going on, but that maybe is just the average of where I've ping-ponged around. Seattle is very sedated, that is true. We are a very I tell you, I met somebody at my apartment complex recently, and I knew they weren't from here because they started a conversation with me. We were outside with our dogs in like the little dog park area, and she like, as opposed to avoiding eye contact with me, not saying anything, and then going inside, um, she actually was like, "Oh, hi, I'm new here." And she's like, she's from the East Coast. She just moved here like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, "Yeah, you're not from around here, are you?" Because they're like the only person that's ever started a conversation with me the entire time I've lived here. It was so funny. The longest place I've lived, I mean, they're probably here now because I moved back out here for university, and I've moved around within the state quite a bit, but I've lived in this area for going on 8 years now. And now that I'm an adult, I am not planning on moving a whole lot. I think I will maybe at some point, but having been to so many different places, I'm very content with traveling elsewhere and having like a nice little solid home base. I'm sorry. Are we are we doing the various different forms of bandit? It's bandit, band him, band her, and band them. Well, hello, honey. Do you want to say goodbye to the people, or do you want to be on your bed? It is your decision. Do you want to come over here? You want to come over? No, you do not want to come over. Okay, Bandit is like, you're not getting me to move out of my bed, lady. She's like, I am staying here. But I will say, next Friday, you will see Bandit in a Halloween pumpkin costume. That is a promise. You will see Bandit in the most adorable costume just that I could imagine. Like, it's a cat costume. So there's that, but it fits her, so it's fine. So I look forward to that. Halloween weekend, Bandit dressed up like a pumpkin. It's going to be great. I think, well, okay, I will say, so when I say from the East Coast, she's not like from Jersey, she's from like the Southeast. So it's a little bit more of that like hospitality flavor to it, you know? Yeah, I'm not a big fan of packing and unpacking. Unpacking I don't mind. It's like the packing and actually like physically moving stuff that I don't like. But unpacking can be kind of cathartic, I guess. All right. Anyways, yeah, you're right. I should wrap this up. I've gone over in an attempt to avoid talking about Nazis in the last 5 minutes. So that will be the end for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm gonna try and figure out what the heck was going on with the chat thing here and after I'm done. But thank you so much for hanging out with me. Again, next Friday, 6 p.m. That is our usual streaming time. You will see Bandit in a very cute little Halloween costume. We are going to be doing a movie night on Patreon for Halloween weekend as well. We're going to be watching Interview with a Vampire to go with our vampire theme for that week for the videos. I feel like it just makes so much sense with everything else. So that's going to be happening. Lots of fun stuff going on. More Halloween videos coming very soon. And I hope that you all enjoy them. Stay safe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.